Mickey magic. Hey everyone, welcome to That Pillar Show. Dan here.
Mick here, hello, and the lovely F major to F minor transition so often used in
To great effect.
diatonic harmony pop songs, Daniel.
Yeah, very beautiful.
I believe that's a song about holidaying in Wales.
Okay. Holidaying in Wales.
Don't look back at Bangor. You set them up, I'll knock them down, mate. Right, Rosie, what are you doing, in or out? You going to come say hello to the people? You going to come say hello to the people?
Come on, you.
No.
No. She's good.
Go on then. Out you go. Go on then. Go with mummy. Good girl.
How's everyone? Hope you're all awesome. We've had an interesting day of prep today. Something that we will tell you about a little bit later on. But promises to be fun.
Yeah, greetings everyone. Hope you're all doing well. Let's make sure that we are actually firing. Engines are running. Nothing's on fire. Sean Tubbs! Hey guy, Mick, it was great to see you at NAMM. Dan, sorry I missed you. Hope you're both doing well.
Missed you, buddy. Sorry, man.
It's great to see you, Sean.
Yeah.
We saw Sean on the Rev stand. He's got a new half the tilt with some added features. The boost side. Apparently people loved the the slightly leaning. They loved the boost side so much they've done it in a standalone.
What do you call a woman with one leg shot on the other? Eileen.
Yeah. Standing on a cliff. I leaned over.
Deal with no eyes. No idea.
Yeah, okay. The feel button. Howdy Dan and Mick and BV.
Yes.
Andrew. Dustin Thiessen is on. Heavy Reverb is on. Sir Key. Matt Cafisi. He says, please can we have more of the gold Fire Mist Strat. I got one that's Fire Mist and one that is Shoreline. So the Fire Mist one is the custom shop one. The Shoreline one is the 70. So either of those. I love them both. Greetings from Talent, Oregon, says Hobo Roadie.
Oh, very nice.
Imagine the irony of coming from Talent, Daniel.
I come from a long line of talent.
Hello from... Oh, I never know how to say this. Saskatoon, is it? Saskatchewan.
Saskatchewan.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah. That's like, I don't have a photograph of a Strat. Saskatchewan.
Saskatchewan.
Yeah?
That's great. That's great. Oh,
Nice.
Tim Lurch is on. G'day, mate.
Hello, Tim. And talking of Canada, Rob Bramwell is on from Winnipeg. There's a really great show on TV at the moment on the BBC, I think, about people racing across Canada. Race Across the World, it's called. And they have
Ice Road Truckers.
John has set off across the ice.
He might not make it. Oh, he made it.
Crack. He made it. It's really good. It's TV, it's telly. It's inconsequential nothingness, but it's good viewing. How the relationships with humans when they're forced to spend time together under slightly adverse conditions. I think that's how reality TV works, isn't it? That's the basic formula. Yes, Paul Seacombe. Hi from Perth. Hello to Perth.
Oh, lovely. I love Perth.
Eagle Ray Rob is on. Hello, Rob. Jeff Herbert is on. Mike Doctor, G Barge. Old friends aplenty. What jolly nice times to be here.
Tim Leghorn. Greetings from Portlington, Victoria, Australia. How lovely.
Benjamin, hi from Austin. Michael Hennessy. How shall I cook my eggs, he says.
Oh, just fry them.
Yeah, fry is just...
It's the underrated...
Yeah.
It's done properly on a nice bit of sourdough.
Happy days.
So
it's
good.
all about the butter.
It's about the parmesan on the top. After.
Nice. You need the butter
pepper.
if you're going to fry eggs.
Yeah.
Butter's very important for that. I've gone off my microwave poach. Too many eggs destroyed.
Oh.
Yeah, back to regular poaching.
Yeah, nice.
It does something weird to the white as well. I know where I am with a pan of boiling water.
Now, riddle me this. A friend of my wife's did an experiment where she microwaved some water and poured it on some alfalfa sprouts, whatever you call them, and just took some water out of the tap.
Of Mice and Men. They go on about alfalfa in that book, don't they?
Okay. Because, it's one of those things that
Lenny.
you put him in a stocking and grow hair out the top. And the microwave water put on and wouldn't grow. Oh, interesting. The plant wouldn't grow after the water was microwaved.
Oh, I see. Can we definitely count out all other variables?
No, of course not.
Yeah.
But I just thought, that's interesting.
Many thank yous to BV for moderating, as always, who has definitely reminded me we should turn off the super chai, which I shall do now, because we have many. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you to everyone that sort of gets here, that wants a super chat, and they get here early, and they put their super chats in, and they wait ever so patiently. Thank you, guys. It's we're lucky to have you. We genuinely are. Thank you.
Without question. And without further ado, let us get in to the super chats. Nice. That was appropriate.
Yeah.
I think we may have to get a pace on tonight, Daniel.
Okay, got a few.
We do have a few. We have 30.
Oh,
and
wow.
Dan and I've got an early start tomorrow because why, Dan?
Because Noel G. Mick and I are going to interview Noel Gallagher tomorrow.
Yeah, it's really cool. It's really cool. I'm really excited.
Yeah.
Actually, about hanging out with Noel. We're going to his studio. We've got Simon back on the horse. We needed to take a professional in the videoing capabilities.
Yeah.
Just to make sure we dot all the T's and cross the lowercase J's.
Yep.
Yes. So Noel it will be.
Yeah.
We've got some questions.
We do have questions.
If you have any, by all means ask them, and we'll see if we can include some.
Yeah.
As long as they're not about... No, actually, just ask them. And we'll see. Good evening, Legends, says Rodrigo Guaspari. Hello, Rodrigo. He says, could a room cause a flange-like effect? Cheers and much love.
Absolutely. So let's work this out. It'd have to be a small room. You want a distance of about 3 feet to get a 3 millisecond thing. What you won't get is the modulation in a room, but you can get...
Something would need to be moving.
Something would need to be moving to get a modulated flange effect. However, that really short delay where you get your that what do you call it, the comb filter. Yeah, you can, anywhere 10 feet to 3 feet in a little area like that. Yeah, you can in a very reflective surface, because the level that needs to be bouncing back at you needs to be of a similar fidelity.
It's all those things that mix, isn't it? Phase differences, reflections, and all of that create the sound of room. And one might say that that they're undesirable, but of course they're entirely desirable, because that's what we love about the sound of lovely sounding rooms. If you've got room mics up, that is. Yeah.
Super Ponte says, I've been waiting for a Noel Gallagher episode for years. It's coming.
Yeah.
It's coming.
He's not the easiest guy to get hold of, to be fair.
No.
And we're very lucky to be able to be doing it. So, right, housekeeping flash, Dan.
Housekeeping. Beep, 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 beep. Hang on. Beep, 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 beep.
Patrons. Thank you, lovely patrons. In case you missed it, April's pedal giveaway was announced last Friday. For patrons who are active at 11:30 a.m. UK time. I'm very specific about that. You are eligible to enter if you've received the email with the link to your Patreon message inbox. It's 3 jam rattlers, the special edition ones that we did in 2019, which is a long time ago now. But the jam rattler in orange, Dan and I went to Athens there to see the guys at Jam and did a special edition jam rattler. We had 3 that have some very minor cosmetic blemishes. We shall be giving all 3 away, so 3 people will win this month's Patron giveaway. The giveaway closes this Thursday the 27th at midnight UK time, so please check your inbox. We've been blown away, Daniel, by the response to our TPS trucker caps.
Bald men unite.
They sold out way quicker than we expected, so thanks to everyone who bought one. We have ordered more, obviously, so keep a lookout for those. And we've got 2 new tees. We've got Tone Busters, which is this one, which says guitars and amplifiers and pedals and because tone. And we have what we've called Tube Flash. There we are, look at that. 4 nice little valves there on a very dynamic looking flash. So there you go, thatpedalshowstore.com if you want to grab some merch, and please do.
In many colours.
If you want to be updated on stuff that's coming into the store, email shop@thatpedalshowstore.com and you'll be on our mailing list, so you'll know about stuff that's happening. And while Dan is doing the modelling, it's nice and green, actually.
Lovely.
It's really good. It's a nice green, that.
I see trees.
For those of you who don't like missing VCQ, we shall be here next Monday, the 1st of May, even though it's a bank holiday in the UK. We shall be here next Thursday, but we will not be here on the 8th of May, which confusingly is also a bank holiday because we have arbitrarily decided an upper class man should be head of church and state without any sort of democratic vote whatsoever.
Yes.
Yes. So there we are. So we won't be here on the 8th. We will be here on the 1st. Hopefully it'll all go off well. Good. Iron Wolf 1776. Iron Wolf 1776. Friday, he says, I received a Marshall 1960 TV cabinet. TV meaning tall vintage.
Oh, nice.
Now I have 3 Marshall half stacks, which will annoy the entire neighbourhood. Loud, louder, loudest. We salute you.
Yes.
We salute you with all kinds of salute, but maybe not that one, that are appropriate. How cool is that?
Amazing.
Good on you, man. Good on you. It's a nice cab, the TV.
Yeah.
Really, really nice. Slightly oversized.
Oh, okay. I had an old 8x10 Marshall cab.
Oh, yeah, that's
that I cut in half.
Something different again.
Because I'm a silly Billy.
You did your own Townsend.
I did my own Townsend and I cut it in half. Todd Stanley says, tell me how you feel about the monarchy without telling me how you feel about the monarchy.
I know. I'm not an anti-monarchist. I just think it's, I don't know. Democracy's important, isn't it?
Monarchist.
Yeah. Actually, to be fair, I quite like Charlie. I like the way he seems to be a man of the country and is passionate about farming and wildlife and all that kind of stuff. So there you go. There's your balance.
Yin and yang.
Zach George, how do you feel about the monarchy, Dan? Being someone who's...
It gave us something for the other side of the coins.
Oh. Right. So you don't actually have Paul Hogan on the back of your coins?
No, he's on the front.
That's not a coin.
That's not a coin.
Zach George. Hi, Zach. He said, I just purchased an offset Telecaster. And it's routed for a middle pickup.
Okay.
What's your experience and opinion on a telly with a middle pickup?
They're great as long as you can still get those two.
Yeah, as long as you can turn it off.
As long as you can turn it off, you do get a little bit more magnetic pull. But if it's set back far enough and you can turn it off, they're great. I mean, that the Nashville Telly thing. That's the positions 2 and 4. That's a great thing to be able to have.
Yeah.
Really, that's everything. That's all you need on a Telecaster.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm of the same opinion, Dan.
My daughter had a gig on Friday night.
Nice one, Liv.
Or Saturday night. Little gig in Swindon. 200 people turned up to her gig. They had to shut early because it was too dangerous with so many people turned up to the gig. And she was great, but I did notice because it was a loud venue, right? And she was turned up and everything. And in rehearsal, that obviously been really dynamic, and she's doing all this stuff. At the end, I said, "Liv, just leave it on the bridge, pick up, and just do your thing." And I was like, But yeah, she's so good. I have to play a video, where they're playing a Smith song, and it was just so lovely. Yeah.
Excellent. That must be a very proud moment for you, Daniel.
Yeah, it's lovely. Lovely. James Bless says, I've just put my telly up for sale. Sorry, Dan. That's all right, mate. It's all good. Sometimes you just have to wait till the right one comes along.
The merry has to go round.
Yeah, indeed.
Sam Colson. Hello, Sam. We'll be seeing you on Friday. He says, no question today, but putting a deposit down for about 1,000 of them on Friday. See you both at the experience day.
Oh, awesome, buddy.
Looking forward to it, Sam. Be nice to meet you. Yeah, good. Experience day on Friday. Happy days.
Yeah.
Truth be told, when we did them first, we were a little apprehensive. We didn't know how they were going to go and how everyone was going to be. They're blooming brilliant.
They're fantastic.
Really genuinely look forward to them.
Fantastic. Yeah, me too.
Just hanging out and making noise. And yeah, we look forward to seeing you, Sam. Please don't bring any amps. We've decided to ban amps.
Okay.
Not ban, but just try and ease back on the amps, because it's even though it's nice to hear them, the amount of time it takes to switch things over does eat into quite a lot of playing time. So.
And we've got all the amps.
Yeah, with no disrespect to people who've brought them in the past, it just, we're going to ease back on that a bit.
Paul Collinridge says, great, finished work early, can join by 15:20, 17:20 even, so happy. Oh, well done, mate.
Cool, welcome. Duncan Plexico. Duncan, I'm so sorry I didn't see you in Anaheim. I tried and failed. He says, greetings DNM, hope all is super. Are we on the Amplus, Tube Amplus bandwagon yet? Is digital finally here? Thanks. I think Duncan's echoing a lot of comments we got over the weekend on the Chris Shiflett video, and indeed quite a few people in the comments section asking the same question. Mm-hmm. How do we feel about Shiflett's amp modelling, says my friend.
Well, let's quote Mr. Shiflett by saying he would prefer to have a couple of deluxe reverbs behind him.
Yeah.
That's always, if that's a possibility, that's always his go-to. But the gigs he was doing here, because they're all in one van, and they're running around doing smaller gigs, and it was appropriate, and it sounded great.
Well, there was some other stuff going on as well. There was some playback, so the keys and the steel guitar was on playback. So the drummer was playing to click. So it was more in the vein of a recorded sound, wasn't it? Which I guess lots of gigs are sort of becoming now. People want to hear what the record sounds like, and if you're releasing a record, that does make quite a lot of sense.
And exactly, and when that's what Chris was doing, and there was a proper flavour of the album. People wanted to hear the songs. Now, as a live experience guitar sound, that stuff has a genuine purpose and application, and it sounds great. And in that context, it was brilliant. But Chris said himself, "Look, I want to be plugged into two amplifiers.
Given the choice, I
want to do this." So it's like there's you got to weigh it up. For me personally, because I'm not I'm not running around the country touring, doing little gigs where I want to be able to.
You get everything in one van and
I don't need to do
minimise
that.
costs. Yeah.
So I'm going to take a mattress and a J20 and set up, and that'll be my thing. The other thing to remember in the playback was you were hearing the sound of the amp going through the PA as well.
So in the recording, I took a direct feed off the desk, which was the direct sound going through the desk. So I don't not necessarily know what was happening on there, whether there was any additional EQ or anything for the room. Anyway, direct feed off the desk, plus I had a stereo XY mic about 20 feet from the stage.
Yep.
And that was picking up quite a lot of the ambience of the rest of the room because the engineer had it nice and loud front of house so that we could all hear it. And you're hearing quite a decent dollop of that, which of course is exactly what you would hear at a gig and if you were in the room. So it's the right thing to do.
Yeah.
To me, that makes the difference between it being totally unusable and very sad and actually pretty decent.
Yeah, sure. I agree.
By having that volume in the room.
Yeah.
The actual sound of the DI, not happy.
Yeah.
Personally speaking, but
Dormant says practical for touring, real amps never going away. The end. We all lived happily ever after.
Yeah.
There you go. But
I think at this point it's almost like a political choice. You'll use whatever motivated cognition you have going on at that point. You know, I'm never going to not use tube amps because I'm absolutely wedded to them. Somebody who wants to save money, travel light, never really loved tube amps in the first place. It's the perfect push over the edge, isn't it?
Yeah.
So.
Oh, Herschel T says, so I can't bring my Dumble. Herschel, if you've got a Dumble that you want to bring to an experience,
you can bring that.
You can absolutely bring that.
Yeah, you can bring your Dumble, mate. And it's quite difficult talking about that because we flipping love Chris at the bottom of our hearts, so we don't want to sound like we're being critical of him because.
No, he's made
he plays in the damn Foo Fighters in stadiums to like trillions of people. So there's no questioning any of that. It just, as he said, and we'll just repeat it one last time, he would rather have a couple deluxe reverbs behind him.
Yeah, there you go.
There you are. Raf Freitas. Hello, Raf.
Hello, Raf.
Any standalone drum machine or software for loud home practice, new or old? Thanks. P.S. The Brothers Landreth on the 20th of May, I guess, in Philly. Say what?
Oh, wow.
Nice.
The Trio, that was a good practice thing. So for me, I use iReal Pro, which has all the backing tracks and things in it. You can change tempo and change orchestration and key and all that stuff. And for practice, I think it's an absolutely invaluable tool. However, sometimes you just want a groove to play along and have some fun with. You know what? Just type in backing track groove in YouTube.
Yeah.
Just do that. And there's thousands of them and they're fantastic. Now, if you want, I mean, Boss have got a whole range of little drum machines that are great. But the issue that I've got with having a drum machine specifically for practice is that by the time you've got something set up in there that sounds good, the motivation to actually play something and do some work, you got to be motivated to actually carry on. Whereas something like you sit down, type in, groove backing track in B flat minor, and you'll have 1,000 choices and just pick one and they'll go on for 10 minutes and you're there practicing to a groove that someone has lovingly created in 10 seconds.
Yeah. Dan uses something called, what's it called?
iReal Pro.
iReal Pro. Have you mentioned that yet?
I have.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's worth looking at. Failing that, if you've got a smartphone or a computer, you will be able to download some software. If you're in the Apple world, as we are, you can get GarageBand for your or GarageBand for your phone. You can get it for a computer or loads of other kinds of software. Any sort of DAW recording type package will have a drum bit in it, so you can program up your own loops. In the Apple world, in Logic or in a GarageBand for that matter, there's a whole flipping truckload of loops you can just drag in, which are all pretty cool. But as Dan says, you can get lost in that pretty quick trying to find something that you really like.
Yeah.
But equally quick, if you learn how to use it, you can just program up some drums that you really do like. And once you get your head around it, that takes minutes. I find that much quicker than pulling in loops.
Yeah,
to be
you're
honest.
good at that stuff. I really struggle.
Yeah,
just
if
to
you
play
want
16 hats in time.
Oh no, you don't. You manually put them on the stave. Then they are in time.
It'd take forever.
No, not when you. It really doesn't.
Okay.
Once you get your head around it. So there's that. Outside of that, check out offerings from Roland and Korg. That market changes at lightning pace, and there's all kinds of little boxes you can get with pads on the top that are full of really great stuff. Unfortunately, me and Dan aren't very knowledgeable about it, but I do read Sound on Sound magazine every month and see these things and go, wow, that's really cool.
Dorman's kicking some goals tonight. So didn't Ranger Effects have a drum machine pedal? Absolutely. Yeah. It's brilliant.
Swizz871, any plans to bring TPS to Brisbane or Sydney around Christmas? Dan, you'd be a perfect Santa, dropping bad monkeys down a few chimneys. I'll stock my fridge with Pavlovas and Germanium fuzz pedals.
So, if everything goes according to plan, I will be at Pedal Empire in Brisbane on or around the 8th of December. If everything goes according to plan. That is the plan so far. Yeah,
there you go.
There you go.
I'm not going, unfortunately. It's a bit of a trek for me for Christmas, so Dan will be going on his own to see his fam.
Yes, to see my fam.
And again, Swizz871, I saw Smashing Pumpkins at the Horden last week and managed to catch a drumstick, a guitar pick, and the set list.
No.
The Holy Trinity. Unfortunately, they weren't throwing any big muffs into the crowd. Nice. Very cool. Justin Baylog. Hello, Justin.
Hey, Justin.
We met at NAMM. It was great. He said, Mick, I finally got a Taylor Swift ticket. It was great to meet you at NAMM. Keep doing what you're doing. The world is a better place because of the TPS fam.
Bless you, buddy.
Thank you, Justin.
You. I saw that on YouTube, the intro to the Taylor Swift concert was unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Is she touring now then? Is that what's happening?
Yeah, I think it was well, if she's not touring now, it was a recent thing.
I have to check it.
Yeah.
I wasn't going to go and see John Mayer next year, but Madison Cunningham is opening, and that's enough to swing it for me.
Yeah.
So I may well go after all.
Well, give him a call and say, hey.
John?
Yeah.
Johnny boy.
Johnny JJ.
What up, JJ?
Hey. Give him a call and let's go and let's go and interview him and we'll use him as a way to get to Madison.
Yeah. Madison. Milton, I think it's Milton. Milton H2O. Milton Water.
H2O.
He says, thanks, Mick, for the subtle art of not giving up. Boop. It has greatly improved my mental health, as well as the pair of third-row crowded house tickets.
Oh, come on. Come on, they're so good.
It's a good book, that. If you haven't read it, Mark Manson, The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Swear Word. Dan, you enjoyed it very much, didn't you?
Enjoyed it very much, but I think I'm on the 5th rotation now of The Power of Now.
Yeah, it's a good gateway to the Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. So it's basically The Subtle Art of Not Giving Up it's exactly the same story as The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle, but it's made a bit more dynamic and headline grabbing.
Sure.
But it's a good gateway drug for the really deep stuff. If you want to go that way.
James Bless says, if Mick runs really fast across the screen, doesn't that make him Taylor Swift? Yeah, come on.
Yeah, Tay-Tay. We've got the same name. Maybe you can get a connection to Maddie through JHS. I know you guys are close, says Ed Airfire. Yeah, we should really. We should. Trouble is, she's flipping uber famous now, so it might be more difficult having won Grammys and such. Deservedly, I might add. Jeremy Rice, favourite thing you saw at NAMM? The T-Rex Binson Ekerek.
Yep.
Hands down.
Hands down.
Closely followed by the Jam Pedals Harmonious Monk Mark II.
Very good.
Yes. Red Tip K9 Kickstand. Red Tip K9 Kickstand. Almost done learning Riviera Paradise. What piece of music have you learned that gave you the most satisfaction or confidence over the years?
Oh, satisfaction and confidence, two very different things. Every now and then, I would work up a chord solo for a piece of music I liked. And my favourite song in the world is America by Simon & Garfunkel. And when I got my new acoustic from Johnny, I worked up the chord solo for that. And I used to play it every morning and just loved it. Till my wife one day went,
Please stop.
"Can you please stop playing that bloody song?" But that was really cool. And I remember learning a chord solo for a friend that got married, and I walked them, as they were going down the aisle, I played this thing. That was a Beatles song.
Across the Universe.
No, it was... oh, come to me in a minute. But I used to love that stuff.
The continuing story of Bungalow Bill.
It was Maxwell Silver Hammer.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really appropriate.
Appropriate for a wedding.
Yeah. So doing that stuff, I find so fun, and getting the harmonies and everything just right, getting the voicings just right. I love that stuff. Yeah.
I think mine would have been when Joey came over and we played with him and we had to learn his stuff. And the guitar bits of it were one thing, and given that he was playing all the main parts, not massively challenging. The bit for me was when we were doing the singing.
Harmonies.
3-part harmony, me, Dan and Joey, that's the best. That was just the best.
Yeah, that's as good as it gets.
Yeah. Nice one. Good. Have fun with Riviera Paradise. Some nice chords in that.
There are some nice chords in that.
Dan doesn't love the lead playing. Dan, it would be. We should talk about this one day.
Okay.
Because Dan's convinced that he plays all the wrong stuff.
No, it's not that he plays the wrong stuff.
He doesn't play the right notes over the chords.
There are changes, right?
Yeah, and he doesn't play the changes.
He does. To me, because he's so amazing, it just feels like such a massive wasted opportunity, because he doesn't change position at all. And what I would love, you know what I'd love to do? I'd love to get Joey. I'd love to get Matt Schofield. I'd love to get...
Andy,
and makes the fuzz pedal.
Zach.
No. Oh, come on! What's his name? Did an album with Paul Stacey. Strat player, vintage Strat. Anyway.
Scott McKeon.
Thank you. I'd love to get those 4 guys to do a version of Riviera Paradise and playing the changes. Because the changes are really cool. And that's yeah, I think that would be really, really cool.
And Molly Miller. I met Molly at NAMM. Awesome jazz guitar player. You heard her?
No.
Check her out.
Yeah, Josh Smith as well. That'd be great. I would love to hear guys that have got that feel and that groove to play over those changes. It would be a dream come true for me.
I'd like to hear you do it. Because I I'm struggling to hear what you mean. So
Really?
you could explain it to me.
Okay.
Yeah. As a massive fan of that album.
Have listened to the key solo, right? And he's just playing the chords. He's just doing extensions on the chords. But when the chords change, it is a very abrupt shift in tonality.
Yeah.
And when those chords happen over the solo, he just stays in one point.
Yeah.
And at one point, it is so
Off.
diatonically off.
Yeah.
Now, that doesn't mean that what he's playing isn't amazing, because it is, and it's become part of the zeitgeist, if you will, because it's such a famous tune.
Yeah.
But
What do you think, Tim? I'm interested to know what you think about this.
yeah,
About
Tim Lurch, let me know.
About Stevie Ray's approach to Riviera Paradise. Interesting. Wes Chilton. Hello, Wes.
Hey, Wes.
He says, greetings. Awesome socks. Or greetings, awesome socks. Leg ends. I was wondering if you'd bought some from that pedal show store, Wes. But you have bought a Monk Mark II last week. Thank you very much for that.
Thank you, buddy.
And already used it on a recording. It sounds fantastic. It's my first jam pedal and it won't be the last.
This stuff is so good.
Thanks, man. Their stuff is
It is
ace.
so good. We feel like spoiled, rotten, being able to do that stuff with with Jam and with Robert, these absolute legends. Man, their stuff is so good, and they're just the most beautiful people.
They really are. Right then. Next up would be Chris Waters. Hello, Chris. He says, bridge pins. I'm a designer and craving time away from a screen. I'm very excited to maybe enroll in a Luthierie course. Any advice or insights? Much love, says Chris Waters.
There are a few people that do them.
Yeah, I've just Googled it. Crimson Guitars in the UK. Check out those guys. Crimsonguitars.com. I noticed that your super chat was in GBP, so we're assuming you're in the UK. And then the Bristol Guitar Making School.
Oh yeah, that's really good.
So check out. But I just Googled guitar building course and a few places came up. We'll speak highly of the Crimson one. We know people that have done it and we've met those guys. They seem very nice.
Yep.
Nice dudes. So yeah, check that out. And I'm sure other people in the comments will offer some other first-hand experience. I've never actually done one, so we can only go by what the people say.
Indeed. Tim's come back and says, I'll make a video about Riviera Paradise. It's definitely an interesting topic to explore.
Thank you, Tim.
Guy. That's guy. And Highwatt Official have just piped in and said, just arrived. Evening, gents. How you doing?
How you doing, mate? I was for some time been wanting to meet the new Highwatt owners and did at NAMM, met Arv, who's in the UK, who is principally involved with manufacturing, and the new owner, whose name escapes me just for a second, and I'm going to find his name because there's a picture on my phone and we talked about him last week.
Mm-hmm.
So that's all completely groovy.
Groove henge.
Very exciting is that. Oh, here we go. Come on.
So just for anyone that's joining us that missed the what we were saying before, while Mick
Mino, and apologies for not remembering that.
Mino.
Ooh. And look, here's a picture of them. Mino with the glasses, Arv on the other side.
Ah, what an attractive bunch.
Yeah.
How lovely. Yeah, so just in case you missed it, Mick and I are going tomorrow to interview Noel Gallagher. So if you've got any questions, let us know. But it's going to be amazing.
Yeah.
I just want to keep saying it. just, yeah.
G Barge, hello G.
Hey G.
Fearless Leaders. He says, I moved my Magnatone Twilighter stereo a bit closer to my barn's back wall and seem to have caused feedback on the reverb. Shangri-La looks like close quarters. Are there things you must avoid? Love from Northern California. Love back to you, G.
Cheers, G.
So by moving the amp closer to the back wall, you're getting more direct reflection out the back of the amp into the room, and maybe that's causing some sort of interesting combination of reflection and what's happening. Feedback shouldn't happen because there's nothing really going back into the amp.
No. It is interesting when you play around with that stuff. The what happens with the speakers and the way that reflects back up into the output transformer, but you'd have to have it like leaning against the wall with like almost no air in there. But that shouldn't cause feedback. I wonder what would do that. Unless you've moved it closer to like a separate AC line and you're getting a bit of...
Oh, wow. So actual... Yeah, that sounds a bit...
Yeah, that's interesting, G.
We have it all pretty dulled down in here, so the actual room itself is very thuddy. And one of the reasons the pedals are all on the wall is because they do provide a bit of high-end reflection for us. We've also got some panels at the back there which put some sibilance back on our words, but otherwise it's pretty dead sounding room, so there's no natural reverb in here, which is a shame. If there's one development objective I'd like to set for that pedal show is one day we'll have a really nice live room.
That'd be amazing.
With a sound in the room.
I love the sound of this room, though. I love your production of the band stuff in this room. I think it's amazing.
It does make it easy when you're doing that, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Because you don't get all that extra reflection.
Sure.
But you do have to use fakey reverbs on everything when we do band stuff, which is a bit sad, but there we are.
G-Barge says it's a howl on reverb. Switched it off and used a pedal instead until moving it back to a prior location. That's really interesting.
That is bonkers. If anyone has any insight on that, please share it, because I have literally no idea what's going on there. Something's exciting it.
I would check the driver and the recovery stage. Should be a 12-act-7.
But if it's happening when the amp's there,
but this is what I mean. I think you'd need to put it back into that location where it didn't happen, and if you could prove that it didn't happen in that previous location, then I'm be confused.
Yeah. Sorry, G. Sorry, we got no idea. Adam Steele. Hello, Adam. Adam and I had a chat on the plane out to California. He says, "Greetings, gents. I met Mick on the way to NAMM. Need to put you in touch with the Neve crew." Yeah.
Wow.
That would be completely awesome, Adam. It would be nice to know people there. Fan of Neve as we are. Henning Hesse says, maybe if the amp is close to the wall, the speaker membrane will be dampened. Maybe one frequency is pushed a bit to feedback.
Possibly, but it is all possibilities.
Happy Hockey says, maybe a reflection off the surface shaking the driver tube.
It'd have to be flipping incredibly loud
to
do that. But,
Interesting.
Yeah.
Sheer volume from the speaker through the reverb tank heads. I mean, I suppose if it's, frequency is such an interesting thing, and distance. If you think about the way standing waves work, for example.
Yeah. It might just be a specific resonant frequency that you got at that distance.
Yeah.
There you go.
That is bordering on a logical explanation.
Yeah. Heavens, let's not go there.
Says Happy Hockey. And Ron Leslie, that was. Thank you, Ron. Brian Carpenter. Hello, Brian.
Hi, Brian.
He says, "Hi, DNM. I've just experimented for the first time running a stereo rig with 2 amps and pedals. What would the difference be audibly with a wet-dry setup?"
Right. The wet-dry setup, you are not reliant on the left-right nature of stereo. So the stereos is amazing, right? And if you've ever seen Andy Timmons live, and I had a good chat with him on Saturday night, and bless that man. He's just the most beautiful human. If you've ever seen Andy live, his sound fills the room and completely envelops you, and it's a really beautiful thing. It is more challenging to do a big fat stereo sound in a denser mix. What the wet dry thing does enables you to have, if you imagine you got a stereo image and it's left and right, and to get a stereo image you have to have left and right, and if you pop them over one side together then it's a sum mix and you lose that depth. With wet dry you don't lose that depth. You can have the wet dry thing any way you like. What you've got, because the wet dry thing, even though it does add depth, that's not what it's about. It's about clarity.
Yeah.
It's about transience. So the dry sound gives you the immediacy. It gives you that initial attack, and the wet sound is layered on top of that. You can take a wet dry setup and put it anywhere in the stereo field. You can put them right on top of each other, and you don't lose that attack and that depth. And sound guys like that because they can choose. So, I had this conversation with Ed O'Brien was down with us a couple of weeks ago, and this one thing that depending on where they're playing, because he's the wet dry thing, the sound guy has got complete control of how much dry and how much wet. Ed can set himself up on stage, so he gets his perfect mix.
Yeah.
And he's not concerned about what the sound guy's doing.
Yeah.
Because sound guy's amazing.
That's their problem, yeah.
And it's like, he gets that mix that he needs, and that's what I love about the wet dry thing.
Yeah.
Now, I have been dabbling with wet dry wet, doing the stereo thing with the dry thing in the middle, and I absolutely love it. My issue with it is that you're back to having that stereo field that you need.
Yeah.
And that's problematic.
Yeah. The thing I love about wet, dry, wet, and why I would always do it over stereo is because it sounds just as huge. In fact, to me, it sounds huger because you're not enveloped in a load of washy effects, if you like using washy effects. However, there are quite a few gigs that I do where I can't do wet, dry because there's only space for one amp. So depending on what you use for doing your splitting, for example, on my board G3 does it, but you can get something like a Humdinger or an ABY pedal, a smaller device. Now, when I just take one amp, I'm through my wet effects chain, one amp, happy days, no problem. When I want to go wet dry, all I do is plug in the dry amp. And that's it. That's the only change required. Whereas if you're set up for stereo, you have to be stereo.
Yeah.
Which might be fine. You might be able to take that wherever you go or whatever. But for me, wet, dry, and you retain, like as Dan says, you retain the direct punch of the dry amp if you want it.
Yeah.
So in that instance where I'm only taking one amp and it's all wet, all the effect levels get turned down because it's too wet. Whereas in a wet dry setting, you can have it really wet and the dry amp is doing the punching. And it's just, the other thing about wet dry, anyone who's been to a TPS experience, they will tell you, they will swear blind it's stereo.
Yeah. And it's reminiscent of what they used to do in the day to create that stereo image, having a, where they would print the reverb and have it on one side.
Yeah, like.
And the, direct guitar sound on the other.
Mr. Beato was saying.
There you go.
Yeah. And also, if you do have any sort of phasing or flanging, anything that messes with modulation in that way, it is stereo because one is doing it and the other one isn't.
Yeah.
So it's two different things happening in speaker. So try it. Well, if you're set up for stereo, it should be pretty easy just to tweak that for wet dry, and you can hear for yourself.
Yeah.
But yeah. Ran Zare, hello Ran.
Hey buddy.
Dear D and M and B and K and R. Thank you for saying hello to all of us. Howdy from the US. This week, I won't be able to catch the show live, but I wanted to send some love and appreciation. Have a great show. Ran.
Oh, mate.
That's very kind of you, man.
Thank you, buddy.
Matt Rawlins, we've got a super chat from you, but no question. So let's see if that's come through. Not yet. Maybe one will come in. Sorry if we've missed you, Matt. And then Daniel Herbert. Hello, Daniel.
Hey,
he says,
Daniel.
New guitar day on Saturday. I got a Martin 0018
Oh, come on.
at Elderly Instruments in Lansing. Just my size and just my sound. Have
Beautiful.
a happy week, guys.
Yeah. We will. Won't be as happy as yours. That's a wonderful guitar I had, mate. Well done.
For anyone not au fait, Martin body sizes, they say ought. Sometimes they say ought, as in naught in the USA, but we call them O, triple O. And the number of O's determines how big it is. So you get a single O. I don't know if they call that an ought. Literally no idea. Small body, like a parlour. Double O, slightly bigger. Triple O is the Eric Clapton famous signature. There is a quad O, and then we get into dreadnoughts and that kind of thing. So that's how that works. OM, same body size, longer scale length, traditionally. Although, confusingly enough, there are OMs with short scale lengths, I think. Anyway, generally that's the difference. Nice guitar. Nice
Amazing.
guitar. Carl Longbottom Guitars.
G'day, mate.
Hello, Carl. He says, good evening, your lordships. The Emprise Amps Monarch has arrived, based on a brownface Princeton, bias trem and switchable negative feedback. It's a thing of beauty. All the best from sunny Yorkshire.
Lovely.
That sounds very nice. Having the switchable negative feedback sounds very cool.
There you go. There's a long bottom original.
So, Carl, are we guessing that when you switch out the negative feedback, it sounds a little more urgent, a little more drivey? Should do. Nice.
That's beautiful. I love
They've
this.
actually finally done the Cunifé pickups. I think Tim Shaw's done them.
Really?
I think I saw that on Instagram. Could be old news, but buzz. It's nice. I can feel that. Oh, that's very sonorous, Daniel.
It's a flippin' great thing.
There's a bass resonance. Maybe my ear's blocked, but there is a bass resonance.
Yeah, well, it's a hollow
Ah,
thing.
nice. Nice to hear from you, Carl. Enjoy that amp. Michael Giliberto. Hello, Michael. Hi, Legends. Good show with Chris Shiflett. How about a return visit with Chris Buck? Would love to hear how his gear and approach has changed with the passage of time and being in a new band. There was talk of them coming in and we'll do a session.
Yeah.
But I think they are now hot shit. So getting to them.
Dude, no, he texted us.
Oh
last
no, I know
week.
he's perfectly willing and often says, when am I coming in again?
As in, they're really busy.
The schedule,
They're really busy. Yeah.
No, he hasn't turned into like no names here. Yeah, he's totally up for it. Okay, let's make it happen.
Yeah.
It would be great to catch up with Chris.
Average Aardvark says, Dan, give me a chord to learn that I don't know, please. I need inspiration. Okay. Right. This is something that I really like to do. Let's say you're in the key of A, right? Okay. And let's say I want to finish. I want a chord thing that finishes in the key of A. What I'm going to do is a circle of fifths.
He only wanted one chord.
But this is the chord. This is the chord that you use to do this, right? And it's a 6/9 chord, right? And I'm going to do a circle of fifths. I'm going to finish on the B flat to hit to A. So let's say there's my A, and I'm going to start on G. So I've done.
Why are you starting on G?
Sorry, I'm starting on B. I'm doing a 2-5-1 to A.
Thank you.
And then I'll go. So those chords are just 6/9 chords. And that's a little cadence that I really like. So, yeah.
Do you want to do it up close to the camera so they can see?
All right. So here you go.
It's like Dan. It's like asking Dan who his favourite football club is, and he'll tell you the whole history of the Premiership.
There you go. So that's that bar chord. Then make that a sharp 11 by cutting the finger off. Six 9 chords are great
Why are they called 6/9 chords?
because they've got a 13 and a 9 in them. But the 6, if you go, look, there's.
Why are they called 6/9 chords? Because they have a 13.
Oh, I
in
call
them.
it, sorry, 13, which is well, they've got a 6 and a 9 in them. The 13, which what
Is
I
it any
normally call
wonder
the
it
6.
doesn't make sense
Sorry,
to people like
sorry.
me?
Right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Yeah, I understand that, but then
Right.
you were jumping around to 13.
13 is the 6th an octave higher. So
Okay.
if I'm
Yeah, I get that.
yeah. So anyway, but it's just really beautiful. You don't like it?
No, surely 2 is an octave higher for 13.
No. Take away 7.
What?
If you've got upper extension, take away 7, and that's
6.
6. There you go.
It totally is.
Yeah.
The maths doesn't make any sense. Is it any wonder?
If you've got an upper extension like a sharp 11, just take away 7. Sharp 4. 13, take away 7.
Yeah, because it's so logical.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry that was. James Bless says confused. You will be.
Yeah.
Matt Scott says please ask Noel about his Nash guitars.
I think I'm music dyslexic.
No, you're not. You're so not.
But it makes literally no sense to me.
Dude, it totally does.
It doesn't.
You keep telling yourself it doesn't make sense, but then you go and then you just worked it out. That makes sense.
But then it took me... Yeah, I mean, all right, so with practice, maybe one could learn. But
Yeah.
I'd need to find a route, using the dyslexia analogy, you have to learn routes to learning that make sense for people who are dyslexic.
Yeah, but
And I've yet to find that. I've yet to find the route where it goes, oh, that.
okay.
You know, like with people who are dyslexic, different colours and stuff. And
Yeah,
they do use
it's like me with
overlays.
every other area of my life.
But, the colour overlays, and then you go, oh, yeah.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah,
That's
there
interesting.
must be a way of teaching it that isn't... Because the trouble with all... You do feel a bit... right, so answer number 1, do the work. Let's not gloss over that.
Mm-hmm.
Just actually do the work. But you feel so stupid because somebody says to you, oh yeah, this, and this, and you're like, stop. Rewind. Let's just have the first 4 words. Let's do that. And then we'll keep going, and we'll keep going, and we'll keep going. But you can't jump to all this before I've even got that.
Yeah, and absolutely. And I apologise
No,
because
I
just
it's
sort
not
of
just you,
spewed
it's
the information.
everyone.
I spewed that information.
It's
forth.
everyone who understands music.
It's everyone who understands anything. You have a talk to an engineer about stuff, and the stuff just comes out. It's like, hang on, back up. I remember when I first went to, because I studied at the Conservatoire of Music when I was 19, and I remember my first day going there, and I was absolutely terrified.
Yeah.
Because I thought these guys know so much more and I don't know anything. 6 months in is like, oh, is that all it is?
Yeah.
You know, and you just, yeah. It is, Anyway.
Yeah. Okay. Maybe just yeah. There we are. Yeah. Anyway. Okay. It is work. I mean, I fully accept that it is just do the work. Just get a book, do the work. I fully accept that. That's how to learn, isn't it?
It is.
Just start at the beginning and put the time in.
Yeah. It's like anything. I see what you do with the mixing and the editing and that stuff on the computer, and I'm like, wow. and I find it amazing. But you've spent so long doing it, and it is second nature to you.
Yeah, but there's no formula to any of that. There's no right or wrong way to do it. Whereas I think I find anything that is pure logic and maths very difficult to impossible.
Oh, okay.
My mental arithmetic's pretty good actually, but anything like complex maths or science or anything like that,
Right.
that has to follow formulas, I find it very hard. Whereas I'm actually very good with stuff that's free, that requires that doesn't, like editing and mixing and stuff. There's no rule.
Sure.
It doesn't have to be this. It's just what you think.
Yeah.
And I'm better at that stuff, I think. Although that's just motivated cognition. We can all do it all if we spend the time doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does make me annoyed though, as you can see, because I've always felt so stupid for just not getting it. And I think anything that makes you feel stupid probably makes you feel a bit angry.
Yeah. And then you play a note and I go, well, I give up. You know, but it's the same thing.
Yeah,
it's like...
That's a different thing.
But yeah, there you go.
Yeah, that is motivated cognition.
There you go.
Noodle Factory. Oh, Satan held. What did he hold? Satan held. No question from you. Let's just see. I think BV said there's no question from you. Sorry if we've missed it.
Robert Law says, I'm here for the tangents. That's a good thing, mate.
So are we, for what it's worth. Good. Christoph Fable says, let's give away a pedal. Yeah, we do that every month to our patrons. Christoph, if you're interested in that, patreon.com/thatpedalshow. Actually, 3 this month. Noodle Factory. Cheers, says Noodle Factory. I got my first compliment at a gig recently.
Oh, mate.
The owner and manager both told me I'm the only guitar player at the venue that isn't a pain in the ass. I have to thank you two for helping me organise my pedal board.
Oh, bud, that's great. Well done.
Good on you. I'm assuming, might that be a volume thing?
No, he's professional. He's got his sounds on his board.
Scrabbling
It's all
around on
turned
the
up.
floor with power supplies.
Yeah, just plugs it in. He sounds fantastic, and the people notice.
Good on you.
People notice.
Square Wave Symphonies. Hello, Alex. He says, leg ends. My Harmonious Monk 2 arrived on my birthday last week. Great timing. Such a beautiful, inspiring pedal. I used it on a drone I recorded as an intro for my band's release concert next month. When you make your own oncoming music, that's pretty cool, isn't it?
That's great. Have you ever had walk-on music?
Yeah.
What did you have?
Flight of the Valkyries. Obviously.
We had Every Sperm Was Sacred. The thing is, though, so that was a Tin Spirits gig. We did it at a venue.
At a nunnery.
And I didn't tell Mark about it.
Oh.
He wasn't very happy. I thought it was the funniest thing we'd ever done. Anyway.
Lugsy D says, here's a question for Noel. Apparently some guys have made an AI-inspired or generated album based on Oasis using a sample of Liam's vocals. I wonder if he's heard about it. What's your view on AI-generated art? We might not ask Noel that. We're going to try and not ask anything about Liam because it's about his guitar playing, really. But the AI-generated art question is really interesting.
Yeah.
Conceptual. I think we're going to be a bit more prosaic than that. Like, what's your favourite overdrive pedal, mate? I want to know what hair product he uses. His hair always looks really nice. AI. Everyone's talking about AI, at the moment, aren't they?
Yeah. AI.
Yeah. I cut off from all mainstream media a little while ago, so you watch things happening in forums like ours, and then you think, oh, this is actually happening in the outside world. Quite interesting. I got my neighbour David, who has just turned 70. He's really into all that and absolute finger on the pulse with all of that, and he's very positive about AI and its possibilities for learning and tech and all of that.
Evan Ward said, and that's why Teen Spirits broke up. Well, it didn't help. It didn't help.
Is he a Catholic then? Was he offended by it? Or...
No.
No.
He just thought I was taking liberties.
Oh, I see.
I don't know. He just didn't like the joke.
Reckless Toboggan says, Mick, ES335 versus 339. What the difference is, preferences, what say you? A 339, I think, makes a lot of sense if there are things about the 335 you dislike. Now, one of those things might be the physical reality of it. If you're of... I don't want to... If a 335 is too big for your body or you feel it's too big for your body, then a 339 makes sense from a physical point of view. That has an effect tonally. So one of the things that 335s can suffer from is quite a lot of bass end, and they can certainly suffer from bass end feedback. That will be different in a 339. For those of you who don't know, 339 is smaller, kind of similar sort of shape, twin F-hole, thin line Gibson ES type guitar. I've never had one for any length of time because for me, being of slightly larger stature, it's kind of like this. It just looks a bit silly on me.
Right.
But likewise, if you're of smaller stature, a full-size 335 can look silly as well.
Yeah.
Like a Giant's guitar.
Yeah, and the 339's fantastic. It's a friend of mine had one for years, and whenever I went to his house, I'd play it, and I'm like, it's such a cool guitar. It's just a little bit less. Obviously the 335's awesome, but I found it ergonomically, it just sat in for me, a bit nicer place.
I don't know why, but John Schofield's "What You See Is What You Get" came into my mind.
Okay.
Lovely, lovely, lovely progression to play over if you can work it out. What you see is what you get off Up All Night. Anyway, yeah, 335. I mean, for me, it's the classic. It's just everything is right about it.
Yeah. You know what it is? It's that you can play it acoustically.
Yeah. Well, you can a 339 as well.
I mean, you can play any electric guitar acoustically, but the 335 it's got that resonant thing where it's so satisfying just to pick up and play. It's really lovely.
And I presume some of that would manifest to the plugged-in tone as well. More of the guitar is solid, therefore I think you would probably end up getting more of that mid-rangey, solid body kind of response from it.
Right.
I don't know that because I haven't spent much time with one, but that is certainly the case in reverse. If you then go from the 335 to a 330 or a Casino, for example, which is completely hollow, so you lose that. So I'm going to say it's likely that that happens.
Okay.
So maybe you take a step towards Les Paul territory. Not saying it sounds exactly like a Les Paul, I'm saying you take a step towards Les Paul territory. Yeah, I'm sure there are many impassioned 339 users in the chat who will throw their comments. Yeah. El Rondo says, if you play a Gretsch 6120, you don't debate size. Rumbling Groover says 336 is the one to get as it's an arch top. Or like a proper carved arch top, is it?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah. Yep. Jacob H is desperate to know what the electronics measure in my 61 Strat. I'm hungry for the tone and I'd be interested to replicate its values with modern components. Honestly, Jacob, I think there's about a lot more than that. In the vlog, I did measure them. I measured the pickups once, but I only measured them at the output jack because I haven't unsoldered it. So I think the bridge might be 6 dead on, middle, I think it's like 5.7 and 5.6, something like that. Just absolutely bang on for the era. And the pots, I would go with the pots that there's plenty of nice Strats out there that have been measured. And I can't remember which way round it is. I think as you get up to the volume pot, head up towards 280. I've heard many people offer the opinion that the ones with the slightly higher value pots are preferable in sound. But
Okay.
all that information's out there online if you're interested. I haven't actually measured them. The pots in mine are not original, unfortunately. I thought they were, but they're not.
Right.
So I have been half looking out for some original pots.
Okay.
But it's 700 quid for 3 pots.
Far out, man.
Yeah. So I might not do that. 600. Yeah. Subro Pontes says, I'd love to hear Noel's take on vintage and modern gear, how he feels about it. Most huge bands bring tons of vintage gear, and whilst he still plays his 355, he seems to mostly bring new stuff. Yeah, nice. Yeah.
His live sounds just awesome. Nick and I went to Rome to see him play when he was supporting Ut. A certain German submarine based.
There was
had naval quality.
There was a Bono lookalike walking around Nam, and he was doing autographs and everything. And he was really convincing. Jake Loosemore came and grabbed me and he's like, come on, Bono's here. And I looked at him like,
nah.
2 things. 1, Bono is shorter than that. 2, is that Bono? He really looks like him. He really, really, really looks like him. Could have been Bono. Who knows? Who knows? Didn't have any security with him, so I was dubious.
Yep.
Yeah. Brent Nickel, the web camera is focused on the amps in the background. That's because one of us isn't looking at the camera. Sorry, it's got eye focus. So if you don't look at the camera, it won't focus. It won't focus on it. Sorry about that, everyone. That is quite annoying. It's quite good eye focus on cameras, and it's getting better and better.
Right.
Yeah. Just thinking about getting a new camera, because our main camera is about to die. Not that one, but the camera that does the main shot.
Okay.
Sony have got 4 cameras that all have almost identical features for what we need.
And what's the price range between those 4 cameras?
2,300 is the cheapest, and $5,000 is the most expensive.
Oh my word!
And guess which one has got the full-size HDMI out on it?
Yeah, the $5,000 one.
Yeah, actually, also one of the slightly less expensive ones. It's quite interesting, that tech, how they're really mixing it up. Anyway, blah blah blah. Boring. I do like cameras. They make your life easier when they're good.
Jay says, good morning from the Philippines. I'm relatively new to the channel. What are some good tips for dialing in an overdrive tone in a live band mix? So you need more, I would say you need more top end than you think and less overdrive than you think.
Yeah.
And I think you need to be louder than you think as well.
And if you don't believe us, ask Rick Beato.
There you go.
One of the things he said when we were interviewing him a couple of weeks ago was almost always, while recording bands, and this is going to be true for live as well, less gain.
Yep.
Less gain than you think you need, and exactly as Dan says, more volume. Which, can be a challenge for your bandmates if they're not into your sense of dynamics, but then it will force you to learn dynamics and how to handle that extra volume. It's just clearer. It's clearer, less compressed, less fizzy. more melodic, harmonious noise with less gain.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Yep.
There you can, don't get me wrong, there's some high gain sounds that are absolutely magic. I would say that most of those high gain sounds that are absolutely magic are also unfeasibly loud.
Yeah. And still lower gain than you think they are.
Yeah, maybe. So yeah, try dial the gain back a bit, push up the volume and don't be afraid of that, but play with some dynamic.
Yeah. That's the biggest thing with overdrive pedals, is retaining a sense of dynamic, because as soon as you lose that, everything becomes monotone. But having a sense of dynamic in your gain stages means that when things lift, you can dig in a bit.
Yeah.
And when things pull back, you can lighten up, and you can follow that dynamic. And that's everything. That's everything.
It is everything. Don't beat yourself up about it either, because here we are talking with great authority about it. We still get it wrong all the time.
Yeah.
It's the number one challenge, I think, of playing guitar in a sort of broadly rock and roll scenario, is how much overdrive, how much volume, can you be heard, are you getting buried by the cymbals?
Yeah.
And if you've ever done a live gig, I hope you'll agree. It's hard work.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's that was the thing about Liv's gig on the other night. I stood out the front and she started playing. It sounded great. As soon as the drum started, I'm like, baby girl,
You need to be twice as
You need
loud.
to be twice as loud as that.
Yeah.
And then turned up the little bass breaker. She sounded flipping amazing. So good.
Connor Hackett. Hello, Connor.
Hey, Connor.
Hi, D&M. I'm looking for speaker cab recommendations for wet, dry, wet. I'm using a hand-wired AC15 as the dry amp and a Boogie 2020 with EL84s for power. Thoughts? Messer Thiel versus a wide body or speaker. What wattage should the speakers be? What's good about wet, dry, wet is you can kind of lean on the dry amp to do the majority of the hard work. And because the enormity of the sound of going wet, dry, wet is so huge, you will be amazed what you can get away with for the two wets.
Right.
Like a couple of tens
Right.
would do a great job. So don't be thinking you need like some mega rig. I mean, if you can, a couple of 112 Boogie wide bodies or Thiels would be, I mean, if you can find any Thiels, totally killer.
Yeah.
Just one of the best 112 cabinets ever made is the Thiel. For those who don't know, it's a sort of smaller design with a port, solid closed back, but with a port in it. Really fantastic sounding cabs. And they've done them in many variations over the years, but the classic ones I'm thinking about, killer sounding things. And then there's practicality to think about. So one of the good bits of news that you don't have to have giant cabs when you've got a setup that's that complex is it's easier to carry too. So you might find that a couple 110s would do it. The Thiels would definitely do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say go with your budget and the practical considerations. What can you fit in your car?
You'd be surprised what you can fit in your car.
Yeah. And with the 2020, speaker wattage wise, doesn't really matter. You know, Dan runs a Blue in amps that have more than 15 watts rating. So unless you've got it cranked all the time, you're not going to cause the speaker any damage. So go for one that you like the tone of, really. If you want endless headroom and the cleanest sound possible without any speaker breakup, then look at speakers that sit in that category. If you want the character of the speaker, you know, you like the sort of woodiness, for want of a better word, of a greenback, or the upper mid punch of something like a vintage 30, then go for something like that. Wattage I wouldn't worry too much about. It's really about the character of the speaker. Yeah, they say don't have a speaker that's less than the output of the amp. So the 2020 is 20 watts per side. So nominally have a speaker that's powered at more than 20 watts, and pretty much all of them are.
Couple of greenbacks. Bingo.
Yeah, if you like the greenback sound, I like it with Marshalls. I don't like it with anything else.
Yeah, right. Okay.
Actually, that's too strong. I like what it does to the sound of a Marshall.
Sure.
But with something like the Two Rocks or Boogies, I like a much more open sounding speaker that's less, that has less character or less of that character. Yeah. Good luck.
Good luck, mate.
Satan Held. Here we are. Here's your question. It means string hero in German, by the way. Nice. Satan Held means string hero.
Wow.
Nice. I'm a Digilog player and didn't understand your mid-range problem with modelers. Shh and ahs. Don't want to argue about that, but explain it. Love your show. Oh, I see. Digilog, digital. Yeah. Didn't understand the mid-range problem. So many of the modelers we hear are overly bassy and overly trebly. Now, of course, you can change the EQ all you want. So if you want to manipulate that and use the EQ in whatever thing you're using, then yeah, sure, you can change it. My personal experience of it is whenever I hear it, it's always too much bass, too much treble. And I've really struggled to hear the guitar sound. And if you look at how it ends up getting amplified, quite often you'll be like 300, 400, 500 watt power amps and I still can't hear it. Stick an AC15 on that stage and I can hear that fine. So, not saying it's not possible, I'm saying the day-to-day experience of it is that it's inaudible in a way that a tube amp isn't.
Sure.
I don't know, that might be because the majority of situations I see them getting played in is heavy bands.
Right, and that's the
and
sound.
That's part of the tone. So could be that, but
yeah. Yep.
No?
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree. Of course I agree. I think...
could be the speaker choice?
Possibly. You know what it is for me? It's the sound when it's put over white noise or pink noise. There's something you can hear if you hear it in like a quiet room, and it's got and it sounds great. And a lot of, if you're sat at home, it's like I love my Yamaha little THR sat at home playing because it just sounds, it's really fun. But what I found, whenever I was trying stuff out, when I was playing like 5 nights a week, it was trying stuff out when the DJ was doing his thing and making a bunch of noise. And what was really interesting is all the stuff that sounded really good, I could hear clearly, beautifully over the din of all that flippin' white noise nonsense. It's why the King of Tone stayed on my board for so long, because it's the one pedal that always just sounded awesome. And even though I could A-B before the gig, I'm like, yeah, that sounds really great. Actually, with the cymbals and everything else going on, what I needed was something that was going to sit in that noise. And what I find about a lot of the digital technology is has trouble sitting in that.
Yeah. It's a weird transient thing for me as well. And this could be just what you're used to, but... yeah, I mean, I can't get over that. But the way that frequencies manifest and then develop.
Yes, okay.
And this happens if I use... Like, I've been trying to get my head around the H90, the inside H90, and dynamically, I've got no idea where I am with it. So if I put on like a normal pedal board, analog stuff, I can hit any note, and I know what's going to happen because I understand what's happening frequency-wise. It's been something I've been doing for 30 years, and therefore what happens next is entirely predictable.
Yeah.
Whenever I add any digital thing on my board, that completely shifts to the point where I think it's going to be quiet and it's flipping horrifically loud.
Yeah.
Or I think it's going to be loud and I can't hear it. And I have no explanation for that.
So Dustin Thiessen says, from a front of house perspective, I often have to do way more EQ to modelers, probably because people don't dial them in on proper speakers at proper volume. It's like they, and then Jake Lee Guitar says, I find that Class D power amps add to that issue. A modeler into a valve effects return is very different.
Yeah.
You know, yeah.
It's important to say that, isn't there? There's a lot of things going on here.
A lot of things in that signal chain. Yeah, definitely.
I don't know.
Look, here's the thing, right? I'll plug into a timeline or the LVX and I'll get an amazing delay. I still want to hear the space echo. Whenever I plug into that, it's like, so, you know, we're talking, for me, it's worth hauling that thing around to get a sound.
Yeah.
Because that sound to me is magic.
Yeah.
Is it practical? Absolutely not.
Yeah.
But I love it.
Yeah.
You know, but, you know, when I was out playing 5 nights a week, and I was lucky because we could play loud venues and, you know, it was really fun. And there were bands doing that circuit that, you know, it was a great band. The drummer had one of those flat kits.
Yeah.
And he'd go there, he'd open up the suitcase, things would pop up,
The
put a microphone, and it's like,
yeah.
and he sounded great.
Yeah.
But it was very much like, I don't care about this. I just want to get in, get the job done, and get back as soon as I can.
The practicality is high on my agenda.
Absolutely.
Yeah, which is fine.
For me, I would lug many amps to gigs.
Yeah.
Because there was nothing more fun in the world than playing at volume with things that just sounded so spectacular. And it made the loading in and the driving and the waiting around, all that, it made it worthwhile for me.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I concur entirely.
Yeah.
I will lug gear until I can no longer lug it, and when I can no longer lug it, I'll find somebody enthusiastic enough to help me lug it.
Yeah.
You know, if gigs still exist by then, which of course they will. Yeah, it's just, I don't know. We seem to have this question every week. I don't want. All too often, it can sound like we're trying to defend a position.
Yeah, and it's not that at all.
It's not that. It's just, I prefer this.
Yeah, and that's okay.
And this is my choice.
Yep.
And you prefer that, and that's okay.
Great. Yeah.
It's all good. I think it doesn't matter that someone else doesn't like it or likes it less. It shouldn't matter. You should use the stuff that makes you happiest. You know, that fulfills whatever criteria it is you need to fulfill. And
the other thing is, I'm not out there playing wedding gigs anymore. You know, where the bridesmaid's crying into her beer and you know, and all that sort of stuff.
Could
where
be
it's
a
like I need
different
to be as unobtrusive as humanly possible. I'm not doing that anymore. Every gig that I play now, and they are few and far between, every gig that I play now, I want it to be the most.
It might be the last.
It might but I'm really aware that the professional part of my life, where I was playing to earn money to feed my family, and I was playing very regularly, that's done now.
Yeah, you don't have to do that anymore.
I don't have to do that anymore.
It's fun for you
and now it's fun.
Yeah.
So when I go out there to have fun, it's like, you know what? I've got to match this DC-30, and it's unbelievable. Yeah. And that's going to be there. Tape echo is going to be there. My pedal board's going to be there with everything that I've worked for years to get everything just right, because it's so much fun. So we all sit in different levels of this, right? Just got to do what's right for you.
Yeah.
There are no wrong answers.
Yeah. Mr. Wit30 says, if I had an SVT 8x10, I would gig it. I almost drew the line at the 8x10.
Right.
Just having to carry it around so much.
Is that the Henry, the 8x8? Is that what they used to call it? No, sorry, the SVT.
Just the SVT,
yeah.
And we did eventually persuade him to get a 115 and a 410 or two 410s, I can't remember.
Right.
Because it's a bit easier. But,
bass player used to play with had a bass cab called Henry the 8x8.
Yeah.
Right? 8x8 speakers, and there's a deep cab.
Yeah.
Oh my word, it sounded amazing.
Yeah.
Just rumbly goodness.
We have a Bareface 212 actually, which weighs nothing and sounds really brilliant.
Yeah.
Quite happy to lug that around. Yeah. I say we have. It was here for Dave Landreth, and it's still here, and we use it. So yeah.
How we doing?
Todd Roy says it. Lol, it might be the last, Mick. That was funny. Well, it might. It flipping might.
Might be.
Mike 2203. Hey Mike. Mike's been to see us on Experience Days. He says, "Hey DNM, have you ever had any of your guitars upgraded with a bone nut to replace a plastic one? I've heard it improves tone remarkably. Any thoughts?"
I think. Yeah, I don't know. So the nut on my Junior from 61 is plastic. And that's what they did, and it sounds amazing. I would say, yes, it does change it, and generally it's a change that I prefer. But a really interesting thing that Mr. Johnny Kincaid, God bless that man, said to me, that the bone that you buy these days is not the same bone that you would buy 40 years ago.
The old bone was better.
The old... Well... It has to do with the way they feed the cows.
Yeah. So
because
you need organic.
They grow so much faster now,
yeah,
and the bone isn't as dense.
Yeah. Well, I guess that stands to reason. So you need old bone.
So, or different bone. There's the other sort of bone that you can get. Yeah. Vintage bone.
I think you get widespread agreement among guitar makers, Mike, that it does make a difference.
Yep.
Whether you think that's better or worse is subjective. What's much more important than any of the above is that it's cut perfectly.
Yeah.
And that great playability, so it's absolutely bang on, is going to be much better than any other kind of nut that's not cut perfectly. So let's get that out of the way first. Make sure it's absolutely bang on, perfectly cut by someone who really knows what they're doing. Mm-hmm. I know that when Johnny refretted my Blue Strat, the refret was awesome, but just the general setup. And when Matt did the 61, Matt from Monty's did the 61, it was like, wow, yeah, the frets have made a big difference, but what's really noticeable here is that it's been set up by someone who really knows what they're doing.
Yeah.
After that, I guess it's marginal. People will tell you that it's not marginal, and they heard a massive difference. I hear a difference. A couple of guitars that I've had over the years have had brass nuts, and I've immediately replaced those for bone and infinitely preferred it. There are other people who will infinitely prefer a brass nut, so it's a personal preference. It's relatively inexpensive to do, so find somebody good, have it done, make your mind up.
Yeah.
It certainly wouldn't. It's not something that Dan and I would say, I'm not sure about that. Like if you've got a perfectly cut bone nut and you want to go to something else, we might say, don't worry about doing that so much. But yeah.
So I think Barry from Exact Tone is on. And anyone that doesn't know, so Exact Tone do rigs. They build rigs out of Nashville, and they're my favourite rig builder in America. The stuff they do is incredible.
Hello, Barry.
And he says, I took an obscene wet dry wet rig to a high school talent show. Come on! Come on, that's so cool.
That's what you need.
Yep.
That is what you need.
Amazing.
One of the things, if you've got a giant pedal board, and I tend not to do this because you do get funny looks from the rest of the band, it does guarantee you a bit of stage space.
Yeah, yeah, come on.
Tactics. John Van Sickle. Hello, John. Best way to spend Mondays, guitar lesson and TPS.
Ah, lovely.
Enjoy that lesson, John. Are you on to sad and happy E yet?
Sad E. Even sadder E. Happy E.
There you go.
Happy E.
There ended the lesson.
Yeah. Confused E.
Andrew. Hello, Andrew. Can we please get a show about biasing in fuzz pedals? Cheers. We have probably touched on it when we've demoed a few fuzz pedals. Dan, biasing in fuzz pedals is...
So if you think that you hear talk about a spitty fuzz, a gated fuzz, it's how much it takes to open the gate on the fuzz, and if it's biased in a certain way, it'd be very open and be, which is the way I like it. Less spitty, smoother. But if you bias it differently, you've got to push a little bit harder to get that to turn on the transistor and to get it do its thing, and that's when you get that spittiness. So it's it's just about how much voltage is applied to get that transistor to sit in the place that you want. And a lot of fuzzes will have a bias control on it so that you can set that point, whether it's nice and open or a bit more gated.
Yeah, there you go. Quite a few fuzz pedals come with a bias knob on, and you can do that. You can go really spitty and aggressive, or nice and throaty and full and open and sustainy.
Jesse says, would you please have Pete Cornish on your show for an interview? I would love nothing more than
We
to
would.
have Pete Cornish on
We'll
the show.
totally have Pete on. Pete, if you're watching, please come on the show.
Please. That'd be amazing. I'm going to give him a call.
Do it.
I'm going to say, hey, Pete, I've got your troll booster here, and it's amazing. If I bring it down and the camera crew, can we talk about it? He's so great.
Yeah, it would be a trip to talk to him. Let's see. Jolly Willard. Hello, Jolly.
Hey, Jolly.
Mick and Dan and TPS fam. Good morning from Chicago. I'm curious to try a Dimension C. What would you use for a chorus sound with no wobble, like a pitch shift doubler? Will waveforms always sound wobbly? Okay, so for those of you who don't know, the Dimension C is born of the Dimension D, famous rack unit from the late 70s and through the 80s, I think. Does chorus in a slightly different way, and what Jolly's talking about is a normal like analog chorus, for example, like a Boss C1 or C2 has a very obvious waveform because one part of it is... Anyway, what the Dimension D did is it added width and C without having that obvious modulation. So he's saying, what would you use for that job, Daniel?
For a non-obvious modulation, it's hard to go past the dimension, because what happens is you've got two delay lines and the modulation is out of phase, so that as the depth goes up on one, it goes down on the other. And so you get this, instead of it being this wobbly thing, you just get this sense of width, and it's pretty magic. The other thing to remember though is that if you don't want wobble, you just want width, try a flanger wet dry.
Yeah.
A flanger wet dry will do magical things, and it's one of my favorite things about the Thorpe, that mix control, because I'll have it just on one side and I'll just mix a little bit in and it just goes whoom, and I get the flanger thing, but I don't get that wobbly thing that I get when I use a vibrato in the same way. It's a really, really cool thing.
Mix control.
Mix control.
I'm going to show you this, which is the Free the Tone Tri-Avatar multi-dimensional chorus, which does a great job of it. And the thing that I'm actually looking for is the TC Electronic SCF, which also does a good job.
Yes.
The SCF Gold, it's quite inexpensive and does a great job. They're on both mine and Dan's pedal boards at the moment. Only reason I don't use the Dimension C is because it doesn't have enough headroom.
There you go. Great.
But that thing knocks it out the park. A little bit pricey, Free the Tone stuff is, but it's also unsurpassed.
Yeah, incredible.
I found that using a valve preamp, the Dimension C can overdrive a little bit.
Yeah, it doesn't have huge amounts of headroom. And that's one of the...
Which can be cool if it's just a little bit.
Yeah.
Really cool, but it was too much. Good luck, Jolly.
Good luck, mate.
Albus Band, Aaron.
Hey, buddy.
Hey, brother. How you doing? He says, you know where you stand in a hellhole? Truer words were never spoken, lol. Hope you're both well. If there was one musician you wish you could hang out with, who would it be? And Aaron's would be Dave Grohl. He'd be pretty high up on my list.
I'd just like to fist bump him. I'd like to walk past Dave, just really casually go.
Thanks, mate.
He is such an inspirational guy.
Who would it be then, Dan? One musician you could hang out with. Just one.
Do they have to be alive?
No.
Pat Martino.
Pat Martino.
I just would love to spend an afternoon with that guy.
It's tough, isn't it? It's tough. I'm going to go for Elvis.
Ah, come on. Come on. Turn up with a couple of fried banana sandwiches.
68 in Vegas. Me and Elvis out on the town.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be amazing.
Hello, dear. Adam Bards. Cheers, guys, says Adam Bards. How is the double tracking usually done when using stereo effect pedals or reverb or chorus? Is it even needed? How is the double tracking usually done when using stereo effect pedals like reverb or chorus? Is it even needed? Yeah, so if you're playing in stereo, would you then double track? Rick Beato says no.
Yeah, it's... I mean, it can sound really cool. I double tracked a bunch of stuff when I was recording my EP, and none of us made it on to the final mixes.
You didn't like it?
No, because it was, what I found was, if I had a really good part, it didn't need it. And any double tracking that I did was a short delay.
Right.
Because it's a very different sound than...
Not just straight double tracking and exactly the
Kylie
same thing.
Minogue singing the same thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
And not that can be really cool, but I did a little vlog on double tracking.
So you wouldn't just do straight double track with no effect. So you just play exactly the same thing twice.
Yeah, so I have done that, but I've just found for me, when if it's a good enough guitar part, I've never needed it. As opposed to Tony Iommi doing his thing, and the double tracking was a big part of that sound. And I love that because he'll do solos where he's double tracking and then they'll go off on different things and then come back.
Yeah.
So it just depends on the effect that you're going for.
There's double tracking and there's double tracking, isn't there?
Exactly.
Like people who are really good at it and you just play exactly the same thing twice, it thickens it up. Great. There are plugins that can do it. Abbey Road invented ADT for John Lennon's voice. So there's technological ways you can do it, but nothing quite beats that. Playing exactly the same thing twice. And then what Dan's talking about is doing something ever so slightly different, either with an effect or an inflection or something, which widens it out even further. As for the stereo field, yeah, I mean, I guess try it, because it'll still sound bigger.
Yeah.
But recording stereo guitar sounds is a challenge in itself. Again, Rick Beato spoke about this on the interview we did with him. He would tend to veer away from that and keep a nice mono in one and maybe put a reverb on the other side. And I think that's what you're talking about here, to give the width. So there's a number of that's it, isn't it? Understand the tools with which you can create a widening effect. One is double it, pan it left and right, or even pan them both straight down the middle, or pan them both left. It doesn't matter, because you've got no issue with that. And the other way is to guitar part in one, effect in the other. That itself will give you a spread. Try it, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all about context.
Good morning from Mississippi, says Perilous Temple. Nothing wise or clever and no question today. Just a lot of love and gratitude.
Aww.
You sweet lads spark joy.
Bless you, mate.
Thank you kindly.
That's very kind. Thank you, buddy.
And What Clucky says, hey guys, will you feature some of Macari's other pedals, such as the Octavider and Wah Fuzz?
We can do that.
Yeah, we just need to get some.
Yeah.
I presume Ant is all set up in his new arrangement.
Yeah.
Because he was closing the store, wasn't he?
Yeah, he closed the London.
It's probably about 10 years ago now, but time does fly when you're in the grip of a global pandemic. Yeah. Yes, we should. We absolutely should.
Lovely.
And I do believe that will be the end of our Super Chai this evening.
Very good.
Let's see. Jesse is still calling for Pete Cornish on the show. Yeah, we'll try and do that. Out of Touch says it would be Rory Gallagher he would spend some time with. That would be lovely.
Someone said Bowie.
Yeah, wow. My friend Neville met Rory a few times, said what just a blooming lovely dude he was.
Wow.
Yeah.
That would be really cool.
Yeah. They had a few pints of Guinness over an interview once.
How lovely.
No, Grolsch. It was Grolsch. It wasn't Guinness. Sorry.
Oh.
Yeah.
Do you like Guinness?
I do.
Okay.
Very much.
I've tried and failed many times. I even went to Dublin to have it from the source, from the mother's teat, as it were. And because apparently it doesn't travel very well. So I went to a pub in Dublin and still struggled. It's like drinking liquid Vegemite.
See, I think you've got a bit of motivated cognition going on there. Because you can drink Sierra Nevada, right? And you
love
that.
Sierra Nevada.
I think Sierra Nevada tastes thicker than Guinness.
No.
Yeah.
Right, there's a Monday night.
We should have a beer evening.
We should.
Neither Dan nor I drink beer anymore for various reasons. One, I discovered it definitely triggers sadness in me in a way that I can't describe and don't understand. But it's definitely a thing. The yeasty kind of bloaty nature of it is...
The Yeasty Boys.
Yeah, which is a shame. The passion I had for beer was unsurpassed by anything. I love beer more than guitars. In my younger days.
Yeah.
And now I can't drink it anymore, so let's do that. Let's get some beer.
Okay.
And do a beer test and
Great.
film it.
Great. Come on. So the blues after 6 pints of Guinness.
I'd love to see you on 6 pints of Guinness.
Elias Bloom says, mind asking Noel about his fondness for Bill Nash guitars. So many moons ago, I built a rig for Noel to use when he was recording the album The Moon. What's it called?
Yeah, the one after High Flying Birds.
Yes. It is called Who Built the Moon?
You can see how deep our research has been so far.
I went to see him at Brixton and met him at Soundcheck. He says, I'll come and check out these guitars. And I was on stage. He kept handing me these Nash guitars to play through his rig, which was flippant, awesome, loud, like 7 amps all going off at once. And they were brilliant.
Yeah, he does a good job, Bill. I had dinner with him a couple of times a few years back. I think his wife is in the DuPont family.
Oh, right.
Or was. They have paint fame.
Okay. Is it the same family that was at the whole Foxcatcher thing? I think it was, where one of the guys went nuts and shot a wrestler or something.
Oh, I don't know.
It's an amazing film called Foxcatcher.
I only know about nitrocellulose paint codes, Dan.
Okay.
22.95 Sonic Blue. Anyway, I think Duco, maybe. I don't know. Marcus Reeves says, I'll come and buy us those Fuzzface builds sometime, Mick.
Oh, lovely.
Okay, that would be good, Marcus. We should do that. Now I want a Guinness, says Out of Touch. And cheat day is a week away. Thanks a lot.
Marco Hennessy says Guinness, but the hangover is horrid. I think any hangover is horrid.
Rob Schlank says Sierra Nevada and Guinness are very different grains, hops, and the water. Yeah, we know. It was about the relative thickness of the drink. Dan's got sort of shades of milkshake in his head, I think, for Guinness.
Okay. So
How cold was it?
Yeah, it wasn't cold. So I was used to, I lived in Singapore for like 18 months. I was doing a gig over there and playing at the Europa nightclubs. And one of the clubs, they had a Guinness month. And all the reps would turn up from the different drink companies, and the band had to be seen drinking that drink, right? And most of the time it was awesome. But one night the Guinness rep was turning up. And I said, "Oh, you guys need to be drinking Guinness on stage." And I'm like, "Yeah, fair enough." And I'm like chewing it as it goes down.
No, I think that's in your head.
Okay, all right, we'll give it a go.
Tell you what is nice: the Bristol Beer Company do a milk stout. That is
A milk stout.
It is spectacular. I bought some to
It's like goat's cheese.
put in something we were cooking. It needed stout in it, and I accidentally bought some more. It's very good. It's really good.
Okay.
Oh, now I want to drink beer, Dan.
Steve Bilbo says, "You would regret it after the 5th pint, Dan. I would regret it after the first half pint."
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Let's do
go.
it. Yeah. Extra cold beers. What a massive con, says James Blessed. Yeah. I must say, when I drink anything out of a tap in a pub, I always feel much worse than out of a bottle.
Really? Is that because they chill it and put it through?
Some of it's very fast brewed, and I'm sure it contains all kinds of rubbish.
Oh, okay.
Obviously, a gently brewed real ale or some other kind of beer brewed in a different way is probably not that at all. But
Right.
yeah. Bishamonton says, any recommendations for a stereo tremolo pedal? I'm looking at the Sunflower Deluxe, but it's a little out of my price range. Yeah, stereo trems aren't massively common. Dunlop did one for ages, the stereo tremolo panner. I don't know if they still do.
Oh, yeah.
Which was great.
Yeah.
There we go. MXR M305 tremolo. Is that stereo? In, out? No, it's not. Get an MXR M159 stereo tremolo. There's one used on Reverb right now for £160.
Hang on. I've got what you need.
I got your sugar. Yeah. And Dunlop did a TS1 tremolo stereo pan. You might be able to find one of those on Reverb or Electronic Bay. Dan's going to say get 2 of those.
Get 2 of these.
Apparently the Super Trem 2 by Fulltone, says Leydenberg and Eagle Ray Rob, does stereo. Fulltone Super Trem, if you can find one.
Okay.
Obviously not available new anymore. Yeah.
It's a cool thing, though, if you get the ratios, working, or just not working,
Yeah.
two trams together.
Since we did Harmonious Monk Mark II, I've got Mark 1 going down one side and Mark 2 going down the other. It's just... Electro Harmonics Pulsar, says Joshua Ray Sumney, and Cleft Turnip. Apparently the Pulsar is stereo.
Okay,
And
Pulsar's great.
Affordable too. Electro Harmonics Pulsar, check that one out. Ron Leslie says, Mackerson Stout is pretty good. We used to start the night out with either that or half a Guinness to line our stomachs, ready for the coming onslaught. Yeah, there we are. Okay, good. We shall bid you adieu. This Friday's video will be 4 random pedals I brought back from NAMM.
Cool.
Which includes the new one from Cornerstone. It's a blues breaker and a clon in one box. a fuzz from LST pedals. The LST Bossy Gnome. LST Gnome Bossy Gnome. Which sounds ace and gave Dan and I a chuckle because when it clips his pipe lights up. What else? Crazy Tube Circuits. Room 40. Which is a Marshall thing.
Yes. Oh, that's really nice.
And something else. What was the other thing? Oh, this. The Silvertone by Jackson Audio. And we both really like that.
Yep.
So yeah, just a roaring through some ripping pedals.
You can see footage of Mick walking through NAMM and people throwing pedals at him. Mick with a big, almost like a dream catcher at the back, just landing on, gathering them.
That's not happening. Those were the 4 pedals I brought back from NAMM, and we needed something that we could do quickly. Is the truth of the matter, given that I'd stepped off a plane about 12 hours before. So 24 hours before. Good. Wish us luck for Noel tomorrow.
It's amazing.
Yeah. It's going to be good. It's got cold in here.
Yeah. Well, it's cold, but it is cold.
I can feel a breeze. Maybe the front door's open. Anyway, we're rambling now. Play us out then, Dan. Thank you for being here. Thank you for supporting us. Thank you for hanging out. It's a real treat to do it, so thank you.
Thank you.
That's better.